Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of AI Security Ops, where we have a special guest with us, Alex Minster, who's going to be demoing one of his tools that he has put together recently, and we're all very excited to check it out. But before we dive into that, first, talk about Black Hills Information Security. If you or your organization needs any kind of security testing, external, internal, web app, mobile app, AI security, really anything security related, security operation monitoring. We do it all here. So come check us out, blackhillsinfosec.com. Additionally, we do have training that we provide from our same professionals that provide our security services day in and day out, who put together awesome training that they share with others at a really great price. Check them out at antisiphontraining.com. So with that out of the way, Alex, over to you. Tell us about what you got together, and I think you got a demo for us today as well, which would be awesome. So let's hear it. Oh, I think you're muted.
Sorry, I muted for the intro. So it's always difficult to kind of figure out like where to start with this, but really, where I started with the project was actually from a lot of people that were moving between different AIs that they were going, oh, this one's no good. I'm going to try to capture all of my stuff and move it over here. And then they go, oh, that one's no good. So I'm going to try and capture all my stuff and move it over here. So I kind of came upon like a concept and a project of an open brain to where you're just going, okay, this is stored centrally and you just have your different AIs connect to it. I'm like, well, that's really cool. Like I can, iron out like some of the problems. So I started kind of thinking on it and, and working from there. So I built it. And I was like, well, I put all this time into building it. Like, how can I use that to help me? And then also, how can I use this to help like the information security, help my career? I do cyber threat intelligence. So I'm like, how can it help in that aspect? So once I did get a lot of the different things pulled together, what I have, and people are thrilled that there's some nerds out there that are thrilled with what I called like my original OpenBrain, is I called like it the OpenBrain HOLOCRON. So that's a Star Wars reference there for like that holocron, but it helps as it gives that kind of, it's not meant to be a storage of like every thought, every piece of information in the universe. It's basically kind of an index and kind of a lens so that it helps you define certain things to where I can say, hey, like for cyber threat intelligence, I can say, hey, I work in the fintech industry. Do I need to tell it all the specifics of my organization? No. I can say we're in the fintech industry. We care about these things. We don't care about these other things. So then when I say, hey, run this thing, it's able to sort of go from that point. I think another big advantage is that it can start cold. I don't have to go through and re-explain to any AI, what the deal is, what the background is. You see all these, clever prompt engineering, and they give you this block of prompts that's like this long, and then you'll get the actual thing that you want to output. I sort of have that, and that's one of the demos that I have is I sort of have it now to where I can just invoke a phrase and say, and it knows what to output. So that's one of the, and so I built that for like the cyber threat intelligence. So one of the other cool things that I did is where it all can capture from. So I'll have that as part of the demo too, to where I can have it capture the thoughts from Slack integration, from Discord integration, from any of the AIs that I have connected into it. And I think it does solve that. One of the big security problems is having this brain on a need to know basis. Where nowadays, because I get the question, they go, well, isn't that the same as some of the MCP tools out there, some of the integrations to where you go, oh, you just hook it up into your emails and now your AI can read through all your emails. You can read through all of your, Google documents. And I go, yeah, but this is on a need to know basis. Like I've seen offers where it goes, hey, if you want to, I use YNAB for like budgeting purposes. And it goes, hey, you can connect YNAB to your AI. And I go, but why? Why do I need it to know all of my transactions? With OpenBrain, I can tell it a couple of things about my budget, about like, if I say like, hey, I'm trying to cut down on Amazon purchases there. That's all it needs to know. It doesn't need to know all the things that I spend money on. So it would have that information for need to know.
Very, very, very cool. One of the things before we go forward, one of the things that jumped out at me is you mentioned that it runs on free tier infrastructure. Could you speak a little bit more about that, of how you achieve that, and kind of like what you mean when you say free tier infrastructure?
Yeah, so the free tier infrastructure that I have is so I'm running it through Supabase, and I'm using OpenRouter as well, just kind of route all of the things. While I run it on like the free tier infrastructure, I do have that little like asterisk there of it gives you like the free tier options. For me and the stuff that I'm doing, it's fine if you start building together like a team, or if you have like your whole security team trying to use it, you might run into like the usage limits, the rate limiting that says, hey, there are too many things trying to call it. That has a benefit. One of the other things that is that helps out sometimes, though, is that having it plugged in for the capture in so many different areas seems to get around some of the rate limiting, to where I might be interacting through Claude or Gemini and it says, hey, it runs into a rate limiting. Well, if I want to capture something, I can still just have my Discord bot capture it, and it's able to connect and save that information, but it may rate limit like AI interaction with it. That AI token might be rate limited, but I can go over to somewhere else just to save the information, or at least have some capabilities still remaining. If I threw more money at it, sure, it could expand for a team. I'm also looking into, building this out, if there's a way to build it out, kind of like using internal tools to a company, instead of saying, hey, let's put all of our stuff in the Supabase over here in this free tier. They go, okay, yes, it's one more cloud, one more tool that we have to get sign off on. Can we build this internally? And if so, how? So that's the next stage of my project.
Very, very cool. I love it. I have more questions, but I don't want to get ahead of the demo. So I think maybe it'd be great if we jump into the demo and you show it off, and then we can go with follow-up questions from there.
Sure. So I think I can start with with one of the demos. I will start sharing my screen. So this is my my own Discord server that I have here. So I just have like the Blues Bunker, and then I have like some of the OpenBrain ones, and I built the Discord bot to capture things. This kind of, I guess, maybe like a shout out to Player Academy, because it's already has it summarized. This works well as kind of a demo for, all of the stuff that I have. So I'm just going to copy, and I'm going to invoke the capture. So I go capture the thought. I put that all in there, and then I can do just like the one more optional tags. So these are the user tags that I put in case it will add its own tags, but I wanted to have like the capability for some specific tags, and I can do specific tags of vulnerability. This one is a Claude. Maybe I just go like VHS. There we go. For something that I brought up on the podcast. So I can submit that. That will do that capture. That will do the thinking. And I'm going to have, something like that. So I can even have the other things that I can do is I can do captures, not just of, of items. So as you see here for the people listening in, it says it responds back, captured as observation, SQL injection, AI exploitation, security mitigation. Has the action items, because this article is about Claude code can be manipulated, has the action items, implement strict code review process for Claude.mds, configuration files, treat Claude MD as executable code, and enhance security controls and file integrity monitoring. So it has some excellent, items for the thought. I can also do the capture of the thought, and I can go, BHIS team thinks this is impressive and wants to, dig into AI automation more. And I can put in like just a tag of BHIS. So then I can have that. And where I put in for those types of captures is for like the cyber threat intel. I can capture a thought, like if our CISO is like, hey, if I go like, hey, my CISO shared an article worried about NPM packages, the NPM attacks, concerned about that. I can tag that, because then when I do the threat intelligence report, it would float that to the top and go, hey, this is one of the priority things in that intelligence report. So then I have, and I can do, so I'll go look at the database of stuff first. Let's see here. So this is a little bit of showing, I'm going to move this over here. So a little bit of showing the CTI captures. So I can run that, and it will have all of the things that I captured, but then it also has the item here that says, it captures it with the ID, the content, Claude code can be manipulated. So it has, if I view the cell content, it would have everything that's captured here. I can likewise go into the metadata, and I can view that cell content, and it has it as the type of observation, the source. It has a Discord. The other thing that I've done with the different Discord channels is I've set up for the bot understanding the source and what tags it needs to do, what it needs to do, what information it needs to capture. So it knows that, hey, if I capture something in, like the source is, CTI inbox, it has the appropriate, context for it. It knows what it needs to do. Like, always put a CTI tag on it. Always kind of, break down like the input based on cyber threat intelligence. Now, if I drop something into like my other channel, that's just like HOLOCRON thoughts, so they're general thoughts. I have some other channels for that I didn't show on screen that are for different projects of mine. It has that context of knowing, okay, this is how I need to parse the information. But it also has, so these are the things that it added itself. It knew to add SQL injection, AI exploitation, and security mitigation. Those were not tags that I typed in. The tags that I did type in, it has like the user tags, vulnerability, Claude, and BHIS. Those are the tags that I added to it. It has the date mentioned, and it knows like the Discord message ID. And then there's the one that I put in down here for, BHIS team thinks this is impressive and wants to dig into AI automation. And I have the metadata. Any questions thus far? Or I have like more things to demo.
Oh yeah, I have a question. I guess first, I like how this can integrate with so many different things. It seems like, you're using Discord as an example of putting in data, but you mentioned like, you can connect from other channels as well. But being able to switch between different AI agents seems pretty powerful. So you're not locked into any one of them. But that was more of an observation. To my question is, and maybe you'll cover this later, so you can punt. But how do you handle like cleaning up? Like you're putting in tasks. So what happens when the task is done? Like how do you close that loop? Or you put in an observation, especially with threat intel. I mean, threat intel can go stale after a few weeks, a few months. Do you have any sort of method of cleaning that up or indicating like how stale or relevant.
Yeah, and those are in the so for cleaning things up, that was going to be kind of one of the next things that I was going to demo, is that I could go, capture.
All right, perfect. Consider it a segue then.
Yeah. But those are both, they're, excellent questions that I have. So I have the, capture thought, and I can go something like, John Strand, thinks, MFA is overrated and 8-character passwords are just fine. So this would be kind of an example of like, well, what if I type something into AI that is an oops? I go, that's a mistake. Because if you do that like currently with like Claude or with Gemini or ChatGPT, that you go, oops, I put something in there that shouldn't be in there. How do you fix that? How do you remediate sending something into Claude's, capture? How do you get that cleared out? Now I can run this again and look at this thing, and I can go, John Strand thinks MFA is overrated and 8-character passwords are just fine. So I can go like view cell content. So I can go through, I think over in the table editor, I can edit this, or I think I can go, yeah, so in the table editor, I can edit that one. It might have a lot of thoughts in it. I'm going to try to figure out where that is too. But I can delete that item. There we go. John Strand thinks MFA is overrated. I can just go, here's that one. Just delete row or edit row. So I can just delete it, delete, done. And I can go back to that SQL editor. I can run that again, just to double check that it's gone. And that one is no longer there. So that's a way of just kind of editing it. Additionally, for some of the instructions, so getting into, right now with this, I don't have the ability to tell Discord, through Discord or through any of the AI agents for going ahead and deleting the information or updating the information. So that would be, the deletions or updates is something that it doesn't currently have the capability to do. What it can do, though, is it can put in instructions to supersede. And that's also kind of a good area as well, because I could sit there and say, put into the database that it's like, hey, my favorite color is orange. And then I can put in there, hey, my favorite color is blue. And if you ask, hey, if you ask a question, what's my favorite color? It might not know that it's like, it's going to go and it's going to see 2 entries in there, and it's going to have to kind of struggle as to like, well, which one is. But if I put in, hey, my favorite color is orange, and I put in, hey, my favorite color is blue, this is version 2, and this supersedes any other favorite colors, then when I ask it, it has, it goes and it brings those up, and it goes, this is the one that supersedes all the previous ones. This is the latest version of Alex's favorite color. So that is the way that I have that set up right now. Where that can get fun is I create protocols that I can then invoke cold. And this is one that I set up recently, and I go bring this over. So hopefully this can start up cold. And I can go, connect to OpenBrain HOLOCRON. And what is it I'm going to say? Like, and here we go, saddle up the Intel. And hopefully this will run and process, or we can run some questions in Q&A, but it says, thinking about concerns with this request. It loads the tool so it knows to connect to OpenBrain. So it's running the primary poll, so it's listing thoughts, but it's limiting it to 50 and going back 30 days. Now running the full 10-step CTI Yeehaw version 2. So it's running, Yeehaw version 2, steps 2 through 9 are coming in hot. And for some of these, I did tell it to be a little over the top with the Yeehaw cowboy references. So hopefully it would, so right now it's searching those thoughts. So it's connecting into the Supabase for, all sorts of different items, listing them and doing some of that processing. But this is something that it's running. So it's architecting the output file. So I had it do a JSX file, with, consolidated threat intelligence. Hopefully that will come up as, a real nice file in a bit. If not, I do have one that already ran that looks, very impressive and polished for, its output. It gives you kind of like the steps that it's going through. So it's architecting the CTI dashboard. I have seen where this, I think while this is running, it's like I have seen where, I discuss this concept with a number of people, even those that aren't in the information security industry. Here it has that 10 steps complete, dragnet close, rendering the posse report now, stand by deputy. So again, I did instruct it to go, over the top with some of the Wild West themes here that BHIS has. But I've seen where this, helps solve some of the problems for people even not within the industry that go, well, I use AI and I have to kind of try to keep everything in like one separate, one full thread. Because if they open up a new thread, it's not going to know what's happening. Because I can say like I'm working on a project and go, hey, that's a cool idea. Let's put a pin in that, and I'll start a separate thread on that thing. Where they go, hey, this would be easier if you had this technology in place or you had this set up. I'm like, okay, cool. Not doing that right now. Put a pin in that, and I can come back to it later. Then I can ask later and be like, hey, so that those upgrades to my network, my home networking that you suggested, what do I need to do for those? And I'm not faced with an AI that goes, how, what? I don't know what you're talking about. It goes, hang on, let me check your OpenBrain, and check that, that. I think also while this was running, you'd note that I said, connect to OpenBrain HOLOCRON. I can create multiple OpenBrains. So I can create one, let's say if I wanted to do something, I thought of this like even in my past that it's like I've done work with Trace Labs and looking for missing persons. If I wanted to create a OpenBrain just for that, to capture all of these little, the flags, little bits of intelligence that I have, put them into an OpenBrain, and then have it run a protocol report or have it run some guidance for like what other threads should I dig into, I can do that. And then I know I don't mean anything by this when I say you can just, delete your brain afterwards. But you have that where you go, it's like, okay, I can just archive that. I can move that away, and I can have that specifically segmented to where I go, I'm not having it connect to the threat intelligence in order to access this. When I run a CTI report, it's not connecting to the brain for this. And so there's a lot of benefit in kind of creating those individually. And again, kind of like that holocron concept, I can have a holocron for, Master Yoda, Master Sifo-Dyas, all these, and I can have like a combined Jedi Council holocron. So if you're thinking about that for like red teams or blue teams, you go, here's all these things that can be checked, and even referenced for if I go, hey, I struggled through a Splunk alert. This is what it turned out to be. I don't need to connect my AI to Splunk. I don't need to connect AI to my EDR. I can just put a note in there being like, hey, this issue came up. This was the alert that fired. This was what it turned out to be. And I can save that so that 3 months from now, when I have like Brandon's, screwing about on the network again and it fires an alert, I can go, oh, yeah, what did we do last time that happened? And it goes, oh, last time that happened, you looked into this. Here's the Splunk query that you ran. Here's how you validated that it was not an issue and it was just Brandon goofing around on the network again. Okay, cool. That saves me a lot of time. I don't have to sit there and go, oh, yeah, now I have to struggle through that again for a couple hours. So I don't know if this is... So I'm going to leave that to still run. But I do have... So I don't know if it is still processing, but I do have where I did one output. And hopefully I can get this brought up and showcase that. So this is the output from, it says, dispatch from the Cyber Defense Posse, the CTIE HA, Frontier Threat Intelligence. This will also kind of help with the, let me close the sidebar to try and expand this out a little bit more. But you can say, right here, it says, what in tarnation is this? It's like, what is CTIE, HA, and HOLOCRON? It's like, cool.
Nice. Yeah, I love the theming. That's wonderful.
That's
partner. This territory is hot.
So, and I was actually like clicking on the shared screen and not the actual item. So it's like, what is HOLOCRON? So it goes, here's what it is. How does, CTIE HA work? So it explains that, why is this? And I go, that was based off of like the one that I do with the CTI Alpha, where I go, okay, run that, and it output things for, for my industry, highlighting things from like the CISO, the severity of deputies needed. So it goes like, okay, one deputy is just an informational, 5 deputies, all hands on the wagon, sheriff's in the field. But it goes, you have the roundup, executive stuff summary. It does say, I had, partner of the territory is hot. Nation state wiper campaign. Cisco Trivi Light LLM chain is still shaking out fallout, and Honda approved, just proved you can wipe, bunch of devices with compromised domain admin. I did have it, because it was for BHIS. I had it go, it's like, look for any, BHIS or John Strand mentions there. So if I capture anything that's like a BHIS blog, okay, cool. Or if I go, hey, John, somebody from BHIS said this on a recent podcast, I can highlight that up here. But I can go, poison watering holes. So these are supply chain attacks, that has listed there. So I can give, these details. It goes, okay, 5 deputies needed. So it's like a 5-star thing for, North Korean outfit. Ran a long con on Axios NPM maintainer. And it goes, warrants are, the action required. So again, this is following kind of that theming. So it's following that instructions. And as you saw, I can go back and see if it built that. But just invoking the, saddle up the intel, I can go, formal and go, run CTIE HA. But it has, these, for outlaws and bandits, it has, malware and active campaigns. So Vidar, rides on fake Claude code. So it has, Team PCP. So these are all like articles and things that I've captured really just throughout whenever. So it helps like my capture as well, because I can just go into the Discord from wherever and go, okay, capture this. And it adds it into this. I can even just say for a lot of the items, I can even talk through like the through the different AI things, has the ability to update.
Okay. And when you're capturing the articles, are you just like do you just provide like a URL, or do you paste in the whole article, or what?
I've been pasting in more of the article because
Okay.
it doesn't. So what I have it capture is what goes into the database.
Okay.
When I have it run like the protocol to put together the intel, sometimes it's dependent on whether it can actually read that article. So sometimes I may go, hey, I saw that there's this URL for it. I wasn't able to read the content, so you
through
move
like
past
paywall
it. So
or whatever.
Paywalled or whatever. So I go, okay, well, I'm just going to paste in as much of the content as I can.
Okay. Okay. Gotcha.
So it has, here's the, actions by role. This is kind of making up like the role of the blue team, detection engineering. Here's even this capture right here. You go, this is based on the stuff that that's highlighted. Here are some of the, summary of actions for each group, the blue team, AppSec, cloud security, or even just like threat intel.
Oh, nice. I see a trampoline syscall pattern. That is hardcore. Nice.
So those are so those are some of the items and demos. I think it was doing. Yeah, let's see here. Okay, so it was trying to run some stuff, but I guess it had some difficulty connecting to Claude. But it was running through those processes, so I at least was able to show that it captured those different steps.
Yeah, Claude has been up and down for the past couple of days.
Yeah, and I suppose if I wanted to, I could even go into just for like the benefit there, I could even go into ChatGPT for this. It's opening it up on the side. So I could probably even say.
So Alex, how are you able to connect? How are you connecting the different agents or bots to your brain, your OpenBrain HOLOCRON?
So I'm configuring those through like the connectors. So I have the within Supabase, I have the connectors and like the authentication keys for each one. And then I just go into the configuration for like the settings. I have to double check where that is on.
Is that through like MCP protocol?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Cool. So it's doing those. Now I can probably I'm going to try OpenBrain HOLOCRON and run CTI yeehaw. So it may be that's like, okay, well, Claude is down. So I can ask ChatGPT to do the same thing. Now it may have a different interpretation of it. So this had less of a, so it had a defined function, so I ran it the way it was designed. This is the output that it did. So it still has a lot of that interpretation. And so it does that as the different aspects. So it may not have. So again, different AIs have different approaches, but that's one of the things that can be leveled out a bit by having it contribute to a lot of the items. This is interesting that it, at the end it says, if you want, I can take this one level deeper, map this directly to a MITRE attack, align it to your org structure, or turn it into a briefing deck for leadership. I can go, okay, cool. Let's see that. Turn that into the briefing deck for leadership. So I can have it do that, and I can then also have it, connect back for, for updates. So I have, okay, here, CTI yeehaw briefing PowerPoint. Can I just expand that in here? It's not able to do that. So I could download it and show that one. Like grab that real quick. And I can try to take a look at that over on one screen or another. Or not, or too many things running. Let's see here. So you can see what kind of output it did for PowerPoint and how that looks. Now sometimes it may come up as just kind of a mess, or it may not replace me, because if you kind of look at this executive briefing, that's kind of bare bones. But it accelerates like what I'm able to do. This does not seem. So ChatGPT seemed a little dumb on this one.
It almost looked like it wasn't able to pull like live threat intel sources.
Yeah.
Because it responded suspiciously fast.
Yeah, it was like, it generated PowerPoint like suspiciously fast. So again, kind of looking at things across, multiple AIs, you may go, okay, this one's, failing to be a benefit to us. So now it has CrowdStrike sponsored in here as well. But I could go, even for feedback, I could go, update, OpenBrain HOLOCRON, to note that creation from ChatGPT is lacking. Can spell that properly. So I can have it do those. One of the other strategies that I've done that could also benefit security teams is that really at the end of a project that I do, if I'm working through a solution, one of the clever questions that I've asked for, so it has that logged, that insight is now in the HOLOCRON as an observation with follow-on actions. But one of the things that I've done at like the end is I go, okay, summarize our project, and I said, and note the things that I did well and note the things that I struggled with. And then it has that as a call for future instructions, because if I say, hey, here's a problem that I'm trying to deal with, and it goes, hey, here's something that you can code in Rust, and I go, I can't code in Rust to save my life. It will know that, and it will go, look, if I need to tell Alex to follow these instructions, he's going to need some extra hand-holding. Or it may be like, look, he can understand this concept, write a PowerShell script, write some Python. Like, I barely have to tell him what needs to be done. He's got it. Then it knows for, kind of those follow-ons, like these are areas that you're skilled at, these are areas that you struggle with, and it can have that, refined knowledge to do those updates.
So, Alex, if I was going to set up my own OpenBrain, what stack of tools, what do I need to do to start from scratch and start implementing something like this? Do I have to have my own Discord server? I mean...
So, for the Discord servers, do you have to have... it would benefit to have, you would need to have a Discord server that you have the admin roles into. Doesn't need to be your own Discord server. I built mine, specially. It could even be in the BHIS server. If somebody wanted to throw a bot in there and start having things captured to an OpenBrain, they can do that if somebody gave them permission to add a specific bot to that server. I started off with just building my own Discord server. The instructions I first came across were how to integrate it into Slack. So I had to kind of come up with the tooling for connecting it to Discord, because at this point I'm not connecting it into any of my corporate tools, even though I am doing like the cyber threat intelligence, that's pulling from like public sources and, just giving the broad information of like these are things that our CISO, is concerned about, and we're a fintech organization. So define it that way. What you would usually start with is if you have like a GitHub account, you sign up for Supabase with that GitHub account. So you have, establish something in Supabase and OpenRouter. I think between the two, I put in like $10 of credits for fetching requests, and that so far will last for a long time. Just to kind of get that off the ground, Discord servers, and really whatever whatever AI agents you want that that have that MCP capability. So sometimes that does also depend on like the AI. If they go, well, you're on the free tool. Actually, I did drop from since I built this, I dropped away from ChatGPT Plus to just the basic one. So that may be why I'm getting a little less functionality, is that it's like, well, you're not paying us money anymore. Versus, Claude, I put the money into. So some of those are dependent. Claude, it encourages you to have like the Claude desktop in order to get that set up. I do hope to share some of the instructions from the various sources, kind of pulling this together. I personally am very thrilled that I got this completed. I think speaking a little bit to like just the neurodiversity is that I just kind of I have so many projects that are like 80% complete. So when I put this brain thing together, it took, people ask me like, how long did it take you to do this? And I'm like, well, it took me like a couple of months, but realistically it took me like one day. But I was like, the couple of months are just kind of getting the ideas to where it's like, there's so many threads coming together that are 80% complete. And I'm like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make myself do this, because the reason why is that like this will then help me keep track of like a lot of those projects that are 80% complete, that I can store those in the OpenBrain. I'm like, the OpenBrain is going to help me with this. So I'm really happy that I did that last 20% to kind of pull everything together and say, this is now a thing that's done. And kind of consolidating all like the scattered thoughts or random projects where I go, oh, hey, this thing is cool. Like, Brian mentioned something on the podcast that I thought was cool. I'm going to dig into it. I'm going to write it down and maybe I'll forget it. You tag something or you bookmark something that you have you have 500 bookmarks and you've only looked at like 3 of them in the past year. But you saved them because you thought they were cool.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love this for the use cases you mentioned there, because storing like full like documentation or blog write-ups or whatever, I mean like full form stuff, that I feel like that's relatively easy to like archive and go back to, but it's those quick thoughts, quick notes. Like you said, you see something that you think is cool, and for me that becomes much more of a challenge to organize and find again, recall, put it all together, because like you said, I mean, you try bookmarking, you end up with a million bookmarks. That's not helpful. So I might jot down things in like OneNote, or like literally like on a piece of scratch pad that I keep on my desk, or I have like other versions of it too, like the digital like boogie board and other stuff. But it's like this is wonderful, because I feel like this is this is a good solution to that problem of being able to consolidate those quick notes and to put them together, get reports, or even, I mean, throw in longer stuff like you have like full articles that you can then you can then correlate with other thoughts and ideas and get this whole report. This is really, really cool. I really like this.
Yeah, and it's auditable. At I go, okay. I mean, because I've even thought of probably once I have it on like a corporate side, like I can run a protocol out saying like, hey, connect to the OpenBrain, see if there are any sort of like oopsies or secrets that are in there. And if not, what is the most sensitive thing that is contained in this OpenBrain? And where I say like, once I connect to the corporate is because, well, it's kind of hard to give it to store because to store the instructions of what to look for without that also being kind of an exposure in itself. Like, I'm not going to store in my personal Claude, like, hey, here are some secrets that I don't want them to know. Like, don't disclose, like, what my, my current desktop is called, or don't disclose, all of this or that, don't put my pet's name out there as part of the database. Well, if I have those instructions, where am I saving those? Versus like in a corporate environment, you would go, okay, this is the corporate paid, isolated Gemini, Claude, etc. I can put those, those clauses in the protocol saying, okay, make sure like this is how some of our internal tools are named. This is how some of our, development items are named. You can give it specific things to look for, and it also has that semantic knowledge of, okay, I understand that, these are things that shouldn't be there. You go, oh, you actually accidentally saved like a API key in your OpenBrain. It's like, okay, cool, or not cool. How do I fix that? How do I remediate that? So you have that ability to go into that database query, or even you'd have like a database admin, somebody that's familiar with SQL that goes, okay, I'm going to run these calls, see what turns up. And if it comes back with like some, references to these, I can edit that cell. I can delete that cell. I can just go, nope, that's not part of it anymore. Versus a lot of like okay, connect it to, it's trying to be helpful, connect it to all of your emails. Okay, what's in those emails? It's hard to kind of audit that and going, oh, well, you didn't know that like your AI is connecting these emails that actually have some credentials stored in them, or some, pen test reports that are in that, or some list of vulnerabilities that are in there. Versus I'm like, look, if it needs to know of a vulnerability of concern, I can put the relevant details into the brain. I can control kind of what it knows about that, saying, hey, MFA is currently a struggle for our organization, or we can't, we have tellers that, not all of them have access to phones when on the line, so they can't do MFA. I can detail things in like those general terms and say like, hey, that's an area of struggle without getting into specific vulnerabilities.
Nice. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's great. Very useful feature. Very cool. So, Alex, you mentioned putting together a write-up for this, or like kind of a like instructional of how to put this together. Any estimate on when we might be able to see that and where we can find that when you're done with it, so we can all put our own brain together, if you will?
Yeah, I would put that as so I put that, if I share that, it would most likely appear on my GitHub, which would be just, let's see, that would just be like, GitHub/Baloo, which is my handle, that BEL. There we go. I just go, that my GitHub is, /Baloo. So I have that typed out on screen for like, note that my GitHub is Baloo. I'm just going to tell, here it is that I'm just saving that up to, trying to save that to my OpenBrain. I can even just go into Discord and save that. So that would be where it would appear, is just one of the projects there. Likewise, they may, make note of it within the BHIS Discord server as well. So I may make a note there being like, hey, if you tuned in for this, here's where it is. So it's like saved in both places. So it's saved in, so Claude has that saved in its memory, and it's also saved it into, the overall memory, so that it knows that is mine.
Okay. Oh, very cool.
So I don't have a blog or anything, but it's possible that if it develops, I can reach out to BHIS and guest blog or something and say, here's what this is. I do really like that, even for that CTIE HAWs, that it has some of the breakdown of like, what is this? What does it do? How does this work? Again, I used some AIs in order to help me like refine my tools. So it has a little bit of that knowledge for like what I referenced and what I built. So I'm going to use I'm going to use a bunch of instructions to create an AI that's going to tell me how I created it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to use that to help kind of create the documentation and go, we started from this, we found some of these commands didn't actually work, and I needed to struggle to fix them, fine tune them. Like I said, the Discord plugin wasn't, I wasn't able to find it. So I kind of took what it was trying to do and built that into a bot. So that would probably be like a really valuable item to share once I, scrub my keys from it, et cetera, and say like, here is a generic how you build like the Discord bot, how you build like the Slack integrations. So yeah, it'll have some good information there.
Nice. Very, very cool. Well, looking forward to it. And thank you so much for sharing with us. This is awesome. I absolutely love this. This is wonderful. Oh.
Yeah. And I'm really open to feedback as well. So if people see this and they go like, Alex, you're missing this point, you're totally overlooking this thing. Great. That's what I want to hear. Or if I also additionally want people to take this project and do awesome things with it. Like I want to make something cool so that somebody else can grab it and turn it into something that's like awesome, mind blowing, that they really, take it to the next level. Just kind of opening the door for this.
Excellent. Oh, very cool. Cool. Well, we're at the top of the hour. I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Alex. I really appreciate it. For everyone else that tuned in, thank you for joining us as well. We'll see you next time, and keep on prompting.